Thank you all for coming. My name is Dolores Steinhauser, and I used to be Dolores Wingard, and I grew up across the street. My parents, Marjorie and Judson, started this business as a hobby about 40 years ago, and it grew into what you see today. So we're delighted to have you, and tonight we're going to talk about, obviously, container gardening. And Susie Long is in charge of the show here. She is an award-winning container garden specialist. We're so proud of ourselves, or of Susie. She did this container that you see right behind you in the blue pot for a contest that they held at the Riverbanks Zoo back in March. And the theme was Gardening in the Midlands, the Great Zone 8, something like that. So she wanted to make sure that she used plants that were really native to our area and that the Midlands of South Carolina is known for. So she didn't put tropicals in and that kind of thing. She centerpieced it with an azalea. And that was special because we started as an azalea nursery and it's an azalea business. And so that was how she wanted to highlight our container. And we won first place, so we were so excited about that. The azalea that you see in the middle there was in full bloom. It's a white azalea, and it was just covered in white bloom at the time. And so I think that was really what hit it off.
Hello, everybody. The first thing I guess you need to know is if you want to put it in the sun or the shade. Am I going through? Okay. And that depends a lot on the flowers because people do make a mistake of trying to put things that belong in the wrong area. The sun, and one thing about the sun too, we did find out from other customers that we visited their homes and they could not figure out why their plants were dying, even in the sun if they were sun plants. And one thing we did find out too was if you put a pot too close to your brick or the cement, that heat radiates from the cement, and it also will actually kill your plants. So you need to keep that in mind also. But one thing is, like I say, you need to make sure you don't put the sun and the shade plants together in the same container. And use your imagination. So when I do something, it might be totally different than what you do. And people always say, well, what would you do? But it may not be the same thing that you might like. So I always encourage everybody to use their own imagination. It's like this container over here. It was just a little trellis, metal trellis that rusted, and everybody else may have thrown it away, but I thought, there's something you can do with that. So I put a little vinca on it and put money wort around it, and it turned out really pretty. Yeah. Okay. And it's been blooming blue with that vinca vine. And I mean, it's just a rusted old trellis that we were going to throw away. So you can use your imagination and use something that other people may have thrown away. And this is another thing that you can do, like different textures, height. Some people don't like the tall plants, but I prefer something tall in the middle. But this would be a sun container also, and you'd always want to put color and maybe some trailers around it, and all this would be considered full sun. And this would bloom all summer long. This is a new geranium that's been out for the last couple of years, and you don't have this geranium for the bloom itself. It's for the foliage. And it's really pretty. We have a container somewhere around here with that flower in it also. And a lot of people always look for something different. You don't have to necessarily use flowers. You can use a big pot with evergreen shrub. This is a curly leaf ligustrum. And you can underplant it with other flowers or other shrubbery. This time of the year, a lot of people do like to use flowers. This would go out on your deck in a real pretty pot, or in your pool, or on your deck in full hot sun. Blooms all summer long. And you can underplant it with just about anything like verbena, lantana. And it's a great summer plant. And then we have, this is another idea, that we have here. We just did one. We should go get that picture and pass it around in the gazebo. We did, one lady did a sedum pot, but she didn't want to just do a pot. So she had bought one of our bird baths, and it was real scalded around the edges, and it was a lot bigger than this. So she decided she wanted to do a sedum garden. And we'll go get the picture and pass it around. It turned out really, really good. She put an angel or a fairy, I think, in the center, and we filled it up with sedum. And low maintenance, just when it fills up, you won't have to do anything to it. We drilled holes in the top for her, and it drains out, and you just plant it, forget about it. And it turned out really good. We'll show pictures of it. It looks great. Sun, all day sun. No maintenance. It's a great plant to have. I mean, all the sedums are really great. And necessarily, you don't have to use containers. This is one that I was going to do for somebody for Mother's Day. It's just a pretty, actually, it's a trash can. And you can fill it with plastic liner and just put a lantana and underplant also. And this would be in the full sun also. And if they get tired of the plant, they can just dump it out and use it elsewhere. And this is another thing that somebody else was going to throw away. And we had I think it's an autumn clematis. And the autumn clematis didn't look good, and they were going to throw this away. So I put it in a pot and started pampering it and just rounded around and around, and it's coming out great. So in the fall, this will be full of white blooms. And this goes in the sun. Now, by fall, this will probably be cool enough that the impatiens will probably be okay with it. And this was just something else that I tried to do. You can sit this out on your deck for the summer. Mosquito plant, citronella. A lot of people always try to find these every year. Just something different. I thought you could put a tiki torch in the top, light it too if you wanted extra protection. And this citronella, you can actually just kind of rub it on your skin. It's all natural, just for a little extra protection from the mosquitoes. And I was going to underplant that with the black sweet potato vine. We also got soil moist, which is very important in the summertime. When you go to plant, you don't have to water as often, and you use very, very little of this, but it's like a crystal, and it holds the water. So you don't have to water as near as often. But you do have to make sure you read the directions, because you cannot use very much of it. It turns into gel. And it's a real good product, but you got to read those directions. And we also, I think in my container back there, I have a little ladybug and a mushroom. But when you do a container, you can make it your own by putting little chachis in it, or a candle. And this also is another way to water your plants. We sell these inside. You can also get the terracotta ones that you can put wine bottles on. That way, when you do go to leave, or you got a plant that you can't keep watered, you just put the wine bottle in the top of the terracotta, and it feeds the water through it. We'll show you those inside the gift shop. And do make sure you go inside the gift shop, because we do have plenty of items in there, too.
Did you put water in the wine bottle?
Yes.
Wine.
Wine wouldn't work. And we also have a great selection of good gloves for the summer. These will not make your sweaty hands sweat. They're really good gloves. And we do have some different sizes, and we just got these new ones in. So, like I said, these will be in the gift shop. And we also have a lot of new items that you can use in the yard for your containers, because you always have the deadhead. You need the deadhead. And these are good pruners. We always buy these everywhere we go. But we found them online, so we've been ordering them in double pairs, because we use these up and lose them all the time. And that's one reason we put up this new shade pavilion back here. People were getting confused, I think. So we always send people back here. This kind of gives the people a good idea of where to go to look for all the shade. And there are plenty like vincas, moneywort. I'm probably naming plants that maybe somebody don't know what they are. But they have the name on the tags back here. What else we got? We got ivy. Let's see. We got impatiens. Kathy, what else you got back there? Shade begonias. Dragonwing. Hostas. I've got a hosta in one container somewhere. I sure do. I think it's over there. Oh, and we do have herb gardens. We had a class maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and a lot of people are getting into herbs. right now, and vegetable gardening too. And you can also do that. I had a woman 2 days ago, instead of putting flowers on her deck, she put vegetables. And they're just about as pretty anyway. And we've got lots of herbs on the other side, and they usually need all sun. They could use sun.
This is a loropetalum bush. It's a shrub. Well, this variety gets about 4 feet tall. So this was a baby one, and we just put it in a container. So when it outgrows the container, you take it out and you plant it in your garden. But when it was in bloom, I mean, it's really looks striking now, but when it was in bloom, it's really extra pretty. But you can do something like that with the shrub. So that's one thing we wanted to make sure that you guys got the feel for, that you don't have to just do the traditional geranium and a trailing thing, you know. So there's a lot of different things you can do.
This is the container that I've got a hosting in. So, I mean, you can put other plants. It doesn't just have to be flowers. So this is an indoor plant, but it's a beautiful plant. So I always use them every summer for the outside. They're beautiful. And these are heucheras. I don't know if anybody knows about these. These are shade. Heuchera or coral bells. There's 2 different varieties, but they stay evergreen all the time too. And this is something that I get out of Florida every year called club moss. This is a real pretty underlining plant, and it will trail. But I like my containers full. They're really pretty, I think, when they're full. But this is just something that, like I said, you just have to use your imagination. And if you don't like it when you're putting something together, go back and get something else and try something different. This is a stack pot. This is what Gail has done. She ordered these pots in, and so she's put these together, and these all take sun. And you stack them up on this right here, stack them back and forth. This one she's got more straight, but you can stack any kind of pot on this little rack and tilt them back and forth, and they make a real pretty show. And we do have some planters up here. And here's one herb garden that's filled out really pretty too. Okay. And they fill out really quick. So I mean, you can use all these. But this takes full sun. And once you get that planted, it fills out. That's a low maintenance plant too. Doesn't take much care at all. This is Andrea that just started working here. She made these 2. These were some of her first 2 pots that she made. And like I said, everybody has their own different way of making containers. So I let her do, pots the way she likes to do them. And this is that heuchera again. It's just a different color. They come in like 7 or 8 maybe different varieties. This one's called cream brulee. And sometimes just to show how you can use different plants, this one isn't really planted, but we just put pots around and just show you what you can do. This is just a loropetalum shrub, but it's in a tree form, just like the lantana. Okay, and this was one of the first ones I was going to put in the zoo, and I just wasn't happy with it. So I decided to do something else. And this is another container that I stuck in a pot and put dirt around it. And it's got the geraniums and the bacopa and what they call diamond frost. And I just set a fern in the top. So it's just something else different that you could do. And so I decided to do something different to go into the zoo. But
just a stand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And you put the stand in the middle and just fill it up with dirt and just put your plants around it. And you can take this out during the season and change it, put something else in it. So you can change it out. Most of them's named after food. Cream brulee, key lime pie. That's Irish moss. Yeah, and that's a good underplant that takes the shade also. We have that back in the shade garden also. And there's that moneywort again. This is always a good plant to use.
We're just playing. Trying to play with things to see what looks good next to each other. That's not really speaking to me. Yeah. cheese and crackers?
Get some cheese, put 2 of those.
Oh, you
That,
want another one of that?
Yeah, no, you don't